Hello, Lucy and Conrad and Caleb. Papa's here with more of the Avengers. I want to remind you of the last panel of the last comic that we looked at. Captain America had just returned from his fight against the living laser. He was alone, he thought, in his headquarters when all of a sudden he heard a voice behind him. He turned and cried out, "You! Who is it? Who is it that came in to the room to surprise Captain America?" Let's find out. This is the cover of the next comic. It's titled "The Ultroids Attack." Whoever the Ultroids are must be these characters down here. We'll figure that out in a minute. But look, here are the Avengers: Captain America, Goliath, Hawkeye, and Wasp. But look, here's Black Widow also. In this story, she is going to join the Avengers on this adventure. But that's not the person who surprised Captain America. It actually is someone from former Avenger days. And you'll be pleased to see that it's the Scarlet Witch. And so, Lucy, you'll enjoy this story because there are actually three female characters in this story. And that's unusual, but most welcome. And so, the mighty Avengers, the Ultroids attack. Let's see what is going on. Scarlet Witch says, "So, Steve Rogers, I have reached you at last." "Who? Oh, it's you, Wanda," answers Cap. "Better watch sneaking up on a fella. You entered so quietly, I thought for a second that one of our enemies had invaded Avengers HQ. But not an enemy, an ally. The last we heard, you and your brother were still in Europe, regaining your lost powers. But you're alone. Where is Pietro?" I don't know, Steve," says Wanda. "That's why I'm here. He's gone." And Steve says, "I must help her. She seems on the verge of collapse." "Take it easy, Wanda. Try to gather your thoughts and tell me what happened. No matter where Pietro is, the Avengers will find him. I only hope that you can." Then Wanda begins her uncanny tale. "After our powers began to return, Pietro and I spent many long hours testing them." And we've seen them in other stories. "Finally, when we were certain our abilities were back to normal, we prepared to leave our native village in the Balkans." Pietro says, "Mr. Burgomeister," that's like the mayor, "we shall never forget the kindness which you and your townspeople have shown us these past weeks." "The honor was ours, my boy," answers the Burgomeister. "Besides, how else could we repay you for that infamous day years ago when we denounced the two of you as demons and drove you from the valley? Those were dark days." Suddenly, even as we prepared to depart for the nearest airport, we heard, "Listen, Pietro, that humming sound. What can it be?" "I do not know, my sister, yet it grows louder with each second. I hope it is nothing serious. I wouldn't want anything to keep us from returning home." "Look," says this boy, "over there, just beyond the village. What is it?" The next moment, all eyes were riveted to the heavens, where they beheld this spaceship, a flying saucer, such as many people have seen in the United States. But it is descending at a frightening, unbelievable speed. "Pietro," says Wanda, "look, can it be landing?" And my worst fears were fulfilled almost at once as the unearthly disc came to rest not far away. Then, as a metal enclosure was lowered from the bottom of the ship, the strange humming sound ceased. Wanda, there may be danger. Wait here while I say no more, my brother. Already I know the words that are in your heart. But the Scarlet Witch is as much an avenger as is Quicksilver, and I won't be left behind. Come then, answers Pietro. There is no time to waste. A flying saucer in this small village. It's incredible. It was with a feeling of eagerness, almost of exhilaration, that I donned my crimson costume once again, and within seconds we approached the silent, unmoving saucer. Observe, says Pietro, there is a door in the cylinder directly below the ship. Yet, even as I speak, it starts to close. Follow at a safe distance, Wanda. I must see what lies inside. No, do not go alone. I do what I must, says Pietro, for if I wait for you, we could never reach the ship in time. But if I do not return, tell the Avengers what has befallen me. Pietro, says Wanda, you do not know what power you might be facing, or its purpose. But then she realizes, it's no use, he's gone. Then as I hurried toward the saucer, look out, Wanda cries, the doorway closes behind you. And Pietro hollers back, there, ahead of me, can it be? Wanda, bring the Avengers as quickly as possible. Only they can cope with what I see inside the ship. What is it that he sees? We'll have to wait to find out. A heartbeat later, and Wanda realizes the entrance, it has closed, and Pietro is inside, a prisoner. But a prisoner of whom? My one recourse is to use my hex power, if only it is strong enough to damage the saucer. However, to my dismay, it has no effect, she says, yet I know that my power is as mighty as ever. What strange craft is this that defies my hex as if it were a child's plaything? Again and again I hurled my blast at the unyielding metal until I'm getting weaker, but I just can't give up. I must keep trying. Finally, the strain proved too great for me to bear any longer, and she says, I can't go on. The strain would make me black out, and then I too might be taken prisoner. That must not happen. I am Pietro's only chance for rescue. What if he is a captive of creatures from another world? And so, with a heavy heart, I turn from the saucer as she thinks the villagers will be of no help to me. I must contact the Avengers at once. What I could not do alone, we shall have to accomplish as a team. And so, back in the present, she tells Steve, I tried to contact you on our special frequency, but there was no answer. Luckily, I was able to use my Avengers priority to obtain an intercontinental jet, and I rushed here as quickly as I could. Steve answers, we returned only hours ago from Latin America. You must have tried to contact us just before that, but now I'll summon the other Avengers at once. Thus, a short time later, two costumed figures make the scene, and it's Hawkeye and Black Widow. Hiya, Winghead, says Hawkeye. Natasha and I were just getting set to split a pizza when your call came through. What's the big emergency? Did you find a rust spot on your shield and need somebody to polish it for you? This is serious business, Avenger business, Hawkeye, answers Captain America. Pietro's been captured, and we've got to free him. Then Black Widow says, Avenger business? Then perhaps I should not have come. Never mind, Tasha baby. Let old Hawkeye handle this. I brought the Black Widow with me, Cap, because I think it's high time she was admitted to membership. Steve says, that's not for us to decide, Avenger. We'd have to call a special meeting to vote on it, and we're too busy to think about her candidacy now. Well, I'm not too busy, comes a voice from behind. It's Goliath. He says, I vote no. And Scarlet Witch turns and says, Goliath, Hank, please, says Jan. Can't we discuss it after we find out why Cap summoned us here? I'm sorry, Jan. There's nothing to discuss. It was only weeks ago that the Black Widow led Power Man and Swordsman against us. What does Hawkeye want? For us to give her a medal? Listen to the big man, says Hawkeye. He gets back to normal size and he's spoiling for a fight. Easy, partner, says Cap. Remember, you've got quite a temper yourself. Just the same, that oversized lunkhead better lay off. He's not running the whole show. He has a point, Hank, says Jan. There's no reason for you to get so upset. Perhaps you're right, Jan. We'll take the whole matter up some other time. Just the same, as one of the original Avengers, I don't care to see it turned into a rest home for reformed supervillains. Goliath, I've had it up to here with your harping about how long you've been an Avenger. Hawkeye continues, what I want to know is, where were you for those blasted months that the rest of us were keeping the Avengers from being just a name in a history book? You talk pretty big for a guy who spends most of his time taking vacations. My word, they're fighting with each other, arguing with each other. Why, you two-bit William Tell, I was taking on baddies like Colossus when you were running around in short pants, making trouble for Iron Man. And since you're stringing your bow, I may as well make myself a bigger target. Mister, retorts Hawkeye, I wouldn't care if you made yourself so small you could hide behind one of your crummy ants. The target ain't been made that Hawkeye can't hit. So they're about to come to blows with each other. Just as the powerful pair begin to clash, here comes the Wasp. Now hold it right there, Henry Pym. Enough is enough. Cap didn't send out an emergency call just so you two could roughhouse. Maybe not, answers Goliath, but I'm tired of that refugee from a Robin Hood movie throwing his weight around just because he can shoot a few arrows. It's my archery that's bothering you, big man. I'll be glad to duke it out with you any time you say. Finally, Captain America intervenes. Cool off, Hawkeye. We've all been under a strain lately, battling the living laser. Let's not take it out on each other. You called it, Cap. Just keep that joker off my back. Goliath says, one of these days, Big Mouth, Cap won't be around to protect you. And then, as the now calmer-tempered Goliath uses a burst of mental concentration to shriek to his normal height, a strident, angry voice rings out. Is this how you welcome a returning Avenger? All of you. Can you do nothing but argue while my brother is in mortal peril an ocean away? Pietro, says Goliath, in danger? And Cap says, that's what the lady's been trying to tell you, Hank. And then the Scarlet Witch continues, time grows short. Even now the saucer may have departed. Will you accompany me from whence I came, or must I return alone? You know the answer to that, Wanda, says Cap. Now, I don't want Wanda to hear another peep out of anyone. An Avenger's in trouble, and we're going to help him. We read you, Cap, says a repentant Goliath. Let's get going. Okay, into the aero cars, everyone. Wanda can fill us in on the details as we head for Europe. Thus, it is that less than 60 seconds later, twin engines of a highly complex design burst into ear-shattering life. Roar! Finally, a sound effect. And zoom with blinding supersonic speed into the substratosphere as all passengers fervently hope they will not be too late. Oh, look, another sound effect. Everybody, say it with me. Vroom. Again. Vroom. Quicksilver is no pushover. He should be able to handle any hostile force on board that saucer with his super speed. Still, we've no way of knowing who or what he may be facing. If the saucer is really from outer space, no, let's not even think about that. But if anything has happened to him, Here's where the Avengers show how they earned their name in spades. We will avenge him. Soon reaching Central Europe in record time because of their high altitude trajectory, the Avengers approach their objective. There, Steve, is Transia, the village where Pietro and I were born. But where is the flying saucer which captured my brother? It is nowhere to be seen. I don't see any people around either. But don't worry, Wanda. We'll find Pietro if anyone can. Buckle up, all of you. We're going down for a closer look. Then abruptly, Wanda cries out, "Wait! Change your course, Cap. Pull up. Some sort of force field lies ahead. I can feel it." Phew, you were right. Our instruments detected it too at the last second, but it's almost invisible to the naked eye. Look, can you see the force field? Well, we're not supposed to see the force field. It's invisible, but the way it's drawn, we can figure out where it is. I didn't know your powers included ESP, Wanda. When did you develop a radar sense? Wanda says, "It must have happened during our prolonged leave, Steve. At any rate, I'm glad I now have it." A few minutes later, on landing, our 6 stalwarts discover that their troubles are just beginning. The saucer, says Wanda, it has increased in size many times over. Now it occupies the whole of the village square. And Goliath says, "How's your shield faring against the force field, Cap?" "It isn't. I might as well be lashing away with a wet noodle." Well, it wouldn't be much of a force field if Steve could break it with his shield. And Hawkeye says, "What gets me is the way that crazy air umbrella on top of the saucer makes the whole ship invisible from above. Somehow I've got a hunch they just plain don't want any visitors." But that doesn't cut any ice with old Hawkeye. Stand back, shield slinger, and watch a real artist at work. And so Hawkeye lets loose with a blast arrow that might have a little better chance with a force field. All right, another sound effect. Y'all want to say it with me? Kawoom! As the high-powered shaft strikes the all-encompassing bubble, nothing happens other than the big sound effect. One of my strongest blast arrows, and it didn't even put a dent in the field. It's days like this that give a guy an inferiority complex. But I got a few more tricks up my quiver. Here comes the wasp. She says, "I hope so. I can't find the tiniest opening either." Goliath says, "I'll change to my maximum height and try to lean on it myself." "No," says Wanda. "Wait, there's no time for that. I just remembered something." Years ago, when Pietro and I were children, we used to play in a cave near here. We always suspected it had offshoots which ran under the village itself. If we were correct, perhaps the invaders have not discovered that cave. "You're on, lady," says Hawkeye. "I haven't been spelunking in years. Lead the way, Wanda. We'll be right behind you." And so, their fighting hearts eager for action, 5 costumed forms follow the Scarlet Witch into subterranean caverns where... Goliath says, "Looks like you were right, Wanda. By my reckoning, we have already passed the point where the force field begins above the ground. Still, we don't know if there's another entrance to this cave, one that will take us close to the saucer. And yet, what other choice have we? Besides that the alien craft grew in every direction as it did outwards, it may also have grown downward into the very earth itself. There's something nutty about this. How in the blazes can a flying saucer grow? I know it sounds insane, but wait, just ahead, I detect a flicker of strange, unearthly light. Suddenly, around a bend in the previously gloomy cave, that glare, it's as bright as daylight. And yet we're still far below surface level. Let's go, but be prepared for anything. So, what do Hawkeye and Captain America see? Look at that. Their trained eyes quickly becoming accustomed to the restored light. The mystified Avengers emerge into an enormous open area where they are astonished to find, I'm astonished to find this big cavernous room in this spaceship. Holy cow, says Hawkeye. Whoever's ramrodding the saucer has a whole underground complex set up for himself. You could put all of Shea Stadium in here and not lose even one crummy foul ball. Goliath says it reminds me of a leftover stage setting from one of those Japanese monster movies. Be that as it may, says Captain America, I suspect that its purpose is far more serious and more sinister than we can imagine. Look, there in the very center of the maze of gadgets, it's some sort of gigantic glowing computer. That must be the ominous unseen intelligence which controls the rest of the saucer and which captured Pietro. Strange. It almost seems as if it's alive and watching us. Don't you see the two eyes and the mouth? It looks like a face. This giant computer glaring at the Avengers, ready to attack at any moment. And we'll see that attack, and we'll see the Ultroids the next time we gather together to complete this Avengers comic about the Avengers versus the Ultroids, whoever they are. All right, y'all, I've enjoyed telling you this story so far, and I'll be back to finish it up. Love y'all. See you later.